Hi, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, when or wherever you may be. First of all, folks, I would like to apologize for the weak lighting, but it's rather hot here, and I would just not be able to withstand the ravages of lighting. So I think this is enough. You can see me. Hopefully, you can also hear me and listen to me. And let's have a great stream. Now, folks, today I will be focusing more on Europe, to be honest. I will be talking about the United States and the situation in the Straits of Hormuz. I will also be talking about the UK. But we are going to try to focus in more positive news, in more interesting news, because I think we all need a break from the complete and utter lunacy that's going on in this world. So much negativity, so much dumb stuff, so much futile stuff that will matter shit in 100 years. Okay, we have more important things to worry about, like climate change, like what is happening to Ukraine, what is happening in Palestine, uh, all of this useless death. We have more important things to deal with than with some spoiled brat in the White House that was never even in the army trying to start a world war. So let's continue. Now, first of all, hello Billy Kershaw. Welcome, my friend, and welcome to anyone that is lurking. As I wrote in the chat, it's there for you to talk, to ask questions if you want. But without further ado, let's carry on with our stream. Now, folks, uh, for a long time now, if you don't know this, my country has been experimenting with the informatization of society, and we have started a long time ago. Okay, my nephew, youngest one, he is currently 21. um, when he started school, he already started school with a computer. Okay, and these are the types of things that have been going on for a long time. We create a lot of software. We cooperate in a lot of European and American and British and Korean and Japanese software. We have a lot of silent people that are silently, let's call it like this, in the background working, but that have developed kind of a school of of computing and of programming here in Portugal. A lot of people do some programming just for a hobby. Me, for example, I cooperate with a lot of friends in creating games, uh, in doing a lot of stuff with the computers. I'm 51, and the first time I started to work with a computer, I was around 7, an IBM 286, if I'm not mistaken, or 386. I still worked with DOS and all of that. And what I'm trying to tell you is that what you are about to see, the news that I'm going to show you, it's from Euronews. All the links will be provided in the description of the video. This is nothing new, okay? This is a country that has been doing this type of things for a long time. Every area from the Justice Department to the healthcare, to the taxes, to banking, to all of that, it has been in a process of informatizing itself for a long time. In the courts, for example, this started back in 2000, so 1999, 2000. Okay, so it's a long time and it's a long process, but it's giving fruits and it's providing money and technological innovation to the country. And this is extremely important for Europe. And when I'm talking about Europe, I'm talking about all of us Europeans. And also, it's very important to my country. So, without further ado, folks, let's watch a video.
Vamos utilizar a plataforma do Hugo e mostrar aquilo que nós conseguimos fazer e o que nós aprendemos com o Hugo. Está bem?
It's the last day of school before the summer break for the pupils at this renowned international school in Lisbon. The atmosphere is relaxed, but behind the playful exercises the children are running on their tablets lies a lesson in digital literacy and computer programming.
Não se esqueçam.
Their tool is Ubu, a Portuguese educational platform designed for children aged 6 to 14.
It looks like they are just playing a game, but they are working a lot of different things on them. They need to understand, well, I have a computer, what do I need to use the computer? I have a robot, what do I need to make him do? So it's logic, it's math, they need to count the steps.
Here we need to read what is here about the International Space Station.
It helps them to read instructions, otherwise they won't pass the level. It makes them understand, okay, so in my life I also need to read everything and I need to complete all the steps.
The World Cup.
This is the World Cup, exactly. Do you want to try to answer?
Yes. Yeah, I want.
At the same time that they are learning computational thinking, computational skills, they are also learning about the World Cup and the countries, capitals. This also helps them to feel more comfortable with typing numbers or letters. Typing skills, it's really important for them in the future. And the fact that it's a game makes them want to be better. Nice! 18 seconds!
We meet Ubu's CEO and founder in a discreet street of Lisbon. As true digital nomads, he and his team have set up their offices in the relaxed atmosphere of a co-working space. A former financial and strategic advisor, João Magalhães turned social entrepreneur in 2015, when he and a few friends founded the Code for All group dedicated to spreading digital literacy.
Technology was entering into our lives, into our jobs, into our homes, into the schools of our children. And we believe that no one was prepared for the speed that was happening. We decided to launch two different programs. One was how to help people without any background experience in tech and to move to work in tech, and also at the same time how to prepare the young generations to have a sustainable future in an increasingly digital world. So we built a turnkey solution for any teacher, any school or any government that wants to introduce skills like digital literacy, computational thinking, creativity, STEAM, and more recently AI and cybersecurity.
Ubu now reaches 500,000 children and is used by more than 8,000 teachers worldwide, mainly in Europe but also in Latin America and Asia. 17 of the group's 200 employees are currently working for the platform. Content is constantly invented or updated.
The kids don't program with written language. We teach them to use these blocks and create their own code. It's all related to a narrative with SDGs.
Sustainable Development Goals.
They will create something that is ethical, good for the world, use the technology for good.
We live in a world where these skills are no longer a choice, they're completely mandatory for anyone, and knowing how to work within technology, but also with technology in a safe way, in a responsible way, and in an ethical way, it's incredibly important.
We're not trying to make every kid become a programmer. We want them to learn the skills that they are going to be useful to their day-to-day activities.
I really believe we are giving superpowers to local teachers, and also at the same time we are helping these younger generations to do a big transformation, and the transformation is moving from consumers of technology into creators of technology.
Making that shift accessible to all is at the heart of the company's social impact commitment.
We have a partnership with Portugal Social Innovation Fund, with the Mel Foundation, with Siemens, with Montepio, that support public schools that want to have this program for free.
The entrepreneur had invited the executive director of the Mel Foundation, Portugal's top telecom company's social impact branch, to meet us. Supporting Ubu was an obvious choice, says the head of the foundation, focused on digital literacy and inclusive technology.
First of all, we prepare the new generation for what's coming, and the change will be huge in terms of the skills they need. With Ubu, and by being in schools where you really need priority intervention that are in less favorable areas, you give access to these capabilities to children from all backgrounds, and you ensure that where you were born does not define what you can achieve in life.
We visit a school in one of Lisbon's priority intervention educational areas. Adwa and her classmates wouldn't have missed the last online lesson of the term with their teacher Isabel for anything in the world.
Vocês já programaram muitas coisas, hoje vão programar o vosso primeiro jogo. Vamos fazer um foguetão. O objetivo é que ele levante voo.
Trained in digital education, Isabel was specifically entrusted with this class made in majority of foreign children.
Como é que vocês vão descobrir aqui como é que vão contar os passos?
Onde vou entrar?
Contaste o quê? Robôs? Os? Ah, boa, é isso mesmo, os quadrados. Muito bem. Como temos muitas nacionalidades aqui, nós não conseguimos comunicar. A UBO foi o nosso ponto de encontro, porque todos gostam de usar a UBO e era uma forma de eu captar a atenção dos meus alunos. Logo, a partir daí, já conseguia introduzir outras temáticas. Estão autónomos, sabem utilizar o computador com segurança, ou o tablet, sabem navegar, sabem escrever. Neste momento, foi um ano só ainda, mas já vejo grandes progressos.
According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, 65% of children in primary school today will work in jobs that don't exist yet. A world of opportunities is opening up for digitally savvy children like Arwa, whose family opened their doors to us at the end of the school day.
You think it's fun?
I love how we can do activities and learn in the same time. I learned how to program, how to design. We can make our own robot.
So you're making it pink, right? Huh? Always pink. I enjoyed that Arwa could do that. Watching Arwa doing that. So it's really, Arwa, good job and keep it up. I personally work in finance and now we use a lot of codings. I'm learning is the hard way at this age. I think in future, in 10 years and 20 years, you cannot do anything without coding and programming and robotics. Only the best of us who know these things, they will be the leader. They will be future leaders.
Right, folks, why did I show you this? First of all, I'm going to talk about the obvious aspect of this. There is a close-knit interaction between the state, between the private companies, and between also large business. Mel is one of the largest phone and computer and internet providers here in Portugal. It's a very large company. It has participations in other European companies and a couple of Brazilian too. And this is me. Sorry. Hello, Surfadesk. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And this was just to show you how things work here. You have a private company that, of course, is working to obtain profit, that asks the state for subsidies, for an aid, which is usually, what is this aid? Usually it's tax exemption, it's subsidy to provide services to areas in the state, like, for example, underprivileged areas where you need to invest more to integrate children, and social work, basically. Okay, and I showed you this video because this shows exactly how business works here and how public procurement is completely different. This company, they are also selling to normal public schools where children have computers that are provided by the school itself. Usually they are trying to give each children a small computer, okay, that they can use during the year for work, but they can also go online and do a lot of stuff. Why? Because it's very important. Like I was telling you about my youngest nephew, he's 21 now. Uh, when he was 6 or 7, they started to give the computers. He didn't use that at that much because what would happen is that I would configure my old computer and I would give him to him for him to work with that one, so he would already had one computer. In this way, and this happens a lot. Okay, this is normal here. So this way, another underprivileged child would be able to have a computer. Okay, this is how things work. Also in schools, even the small ones, you have computers for the children to use. uh, it's a mixed system. It's donations and it's the state itself providing those services, but these companies, they are they are called upon, let's call it this way, they are called upon to help the state, but the public procurement is strictly controlled. If you ask the Portuguese state how much money they have given, for example, to this company, they will know. And more than that, which is something that is extremely important in democracy, you will know. Right now, right now, I could go online and I could see how much money is the Portuguese government giving this company. And then you want to watch another aspect. That school, that public school where they went to, it's what we called a school for underprivileged children. So it's usually children that live in more immigrant or poor areas. And there is this principle that to integrate people into society, you need to feed them and you need to educate them. And this starts at school. It doesn't matter if those kids are the children of immigrants, they need to be integrated. They need to learn how to work with us. We want to use their potential, meaning that little girl, for example, if she's that intelligent, well, we want her. We want her here. We want her to work. We want her to make this country a better place for all of us. And look, this is not all rosy and nice, all right? We have conflicts like any other country has. And we also we also have strict immigration control precisely because of that. Because when you open your doors to let someone in, you need to know who you are letting in. But that family of that girl, from what I could see, normal family, the father working, a normal integrated system, and this company is helping the Portuguese state to integrate these children. And I will repeat this again because this might serve. Look, this might serve as an example to a normal United States and for other countries in Europe on how to do it. What did Portugal did that is that different? Number one, we altered the immigration laws in order to control it. Because we are a smaller country, we need to control the stress in our public systems, and we are having some issues. Not going to lie, there's no reason to do so, and after all, you can also verify it for yourselves. But and then we integrate people in this way. You don't just simply arrive at a kid and you grab the kid, okay? Uh, but and that would eliminate the excuse that they don't want to assimilate. Exactly, Sophie does, because these children are taught in school, and I will finish my reasoning, but let me just answer this because this that Sophie has said here in the chat is very important. These children, they are learning about Portuguese history, they are learning about Portuguese culture, They are even learning about Portuguese culinary, which is a part of our culture and it's very important. Okay? But they are also showing their classmates, if they are from other nationalities or if they are Portuguese, they are showing their own culinary traditions, for example, talking about their own history. And that eliminates the excuse that they don't want to assimilate. Because if you give people education, if you help them, if you give them school and all school and a place to stay, if you make the rules very cut and dry, and the rules right now they are extremely simple. Okay, these are the same rules, and if you are an American and you want to immigrate here, the rules are completely easy to understand. If you want to immigrate and work here and reside here, besides other procedures that we might have with specific countries, you need a place to stay, you need a job, you arrive here, at least until your residence is permanent, you are going to pay for a health insurance, because you cannot work here 3 months and take advantage of our NHS, but it's not that expensive. To tell you the truth, I think health insurance for an entire family, you can get one that is absolutely decent, and it's around 100 to 150 euros. Okay, so it's not that expensive. And by doing these programs, by acting in this way, our government is doing their job in taking care of the people that they allow to enter. And let's be real about this. If we cannot have enough children, and we are having children, okay, the birth rate has increased a bit over the years, okay, and it's more or less normal. But Portugal has always been a country with low population levels. That is also something that it needs to be said, because a lot of people seem to forget that little detail. Okay, you have a couple of countries in Europe where the population has never been that high. Reason why, for example, my family, they are the descendants of German and French immigrants that were brought here by the King of Portugal, and that mixed in, so to speak, with the pot. But I already talked about it, and I don't want to lose myself in the rant. But as I was saying, concluding my reasoning about this is a way where a government can act, and that can serve as an example to other governments across the world. It can serve an example to the United States, because if you are giving education to people, if you are giving them clear rules on how they can stay, you end a lot of business. For example, Portugal will never have an issue like the United States with illegal immigrants. Why? Because it's illegal to give a job to an illegal person. But it's not just the illegal person that is deported out of the country. The person that has employed that illegal immigrant, they are going to be arrested too. And that doesn't happen in the United States. Hello, person impersonator. Thank you. All right. That doesn't happen. But in most of Europe, this is how things are working right now. So if, for example, and more than that, there is constant surveillance over the business themselves. The first thing, for example, imagine this: a work and health inspector enters in a cafe to inspect the business, to see how things are, and they see everything. They see the sanitary conditions of the business. They see the people that are working there in that moment. They see the documentation of the person or the persons that are there. They see how much they are being paid. They see how many hours they are working. They see if their work schedule is published in a place where it's accessible by everyone in the establishment to know. They see everything. If they detect one whatever illegal person, a person that does not have a contract, because they cannot register a contract if the person is not legal, meaning an employer does a contract with someone and then that contract is communicated to the social security system, so that that person, when they start to work, they start to make their payments to the social, to taxing, and to all of the or into all the discounts that we need to make in our salaries, and that they are quite high. Okay, but no worries, you're always left at least with the minimum salary. If they detect one, you want to know what's the consequence. The consequence is this: the police arrives, the illegal immigrant is identified according to his situation. Imagine this is a person that has already been formally told to abandon the country, meaning that person has to leave the country, and we give them the opportunity to leave voluntarily. If that person, for example, is illegal and already has been warned to leave the country, if they are arrested, we don't care. That person is arrested. That person goes before a judge. A judge. Let me be clear about this. A judge. Okay. That person has a lawyer, and then that business falls on. But the little employer that had an illegal person working for him in the cafe, he's in a world of pain. Number one, the first thing that usually happens, you want to know what it is? They shut down the business. No discussion. The business is shut down, at least pending their investigations. Then they are going to sift through each and every aspect of that business. And then that person, if it was the employer, he can either be charged for irregularity, which is something, or for a crime. And usually it's a crime. And that person, that employer, he can be barred from exerting any kind of business operation, meaning that person cannot own a business. He goes on the record. We also have a record for criminal actions by businesses. He can no longer participate in any kind of public procurement, meaning he cannot work for the state, and the state includes everything from municipalities to the state itself. Do you understand? It's an entire system that is created and designed to force business to do their job. And you want to know what an American once told me this was? This was communism. And I don't understand how can anyone be so stupid to not understand this is just the state doing their job. This is the state doing what we are paying them to do. Because we are citizens, we are not bloody peasants. I want my state to make sure that people that are working are treated fairly. Just like I want these kids that we were talking about to be treated fairly. Because if they are in my country, they deserve to be treated fairly. And I'm not saying open doors and all of that crap. That is the entire rhetoric of the right wing that doesn't understand what's the difference between being pragmatic in controlling sayings and being on top of sayings, and between being an idiot that starts screaming like Nigel Farage and like that idiot Lee Anderson in Calais that screams about the little boats and does jack shit about the entire situation. The UK doesn't, and I'm now going to the UK, okay? Let's talk about this before I continue with the other videos. I have a lot of stuff to show you guys and girls, but I want to talk about this. The UK does not solve their situation of immigration because someone is profiting about this shit. The right wing has an excuse to talk about invasions and do that entire spectacle that they are doing in Calais, when if any any British citizen would read the damn document, they would understand what the French can do and what they cannot do. They will also understand that the money the UK is sending, it goes into a budget to deport people that accept that the French government deports them back. So what I'm trying to tell you, in the main reason why I show you this video, is this. This is how you do things properly. It costs more money. Yes, it does. It costs more tax money. Yes, it does. But the end game here is that you will have people, all of those kids that were sitting in that classroom, these are kids that will be able to be in our society seamlessly. These are kids that will understand how society works. These are kids that are not going to feel like someone doesn't like them and they want to kick them out and whatever. This is a society where these kids will be working for our country. And this is why I showed you this video. Let me just go into the chat and greet everyone. Hello, Viper Scott, Alistair. No worries, my friend. Don't worry, okay? Thank you for being here. I think I saw someone else. Oh, Camry. Hello. Welcome, my friend. Right wing, Camry, claim to be blind to their own transgressions, yet perfectly capable of projecting what they do onto their opposition when they haven't done what they have. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, and this one is a nice one. Bernie Sanders being a communist. I think Bernie Sanders would be considered barely social, a social democrat around here. At least here in Portugal. Okay. Fighting communists. Yes. We'll talk a bit about the Americans and their idiocy. Now, folks, now I'm going to also show you another video, and this one is about how do emergency services work here in Portugal. I have 3 videos about Portugal because I thought these videos were interesting, because I want to show you what I've been talking about, how things work and how everything is. And you are going to see another example of a private company that has public procurement with the government and that is working under the direct hierarchy of the state. Meaning, the company that you are going to see right now, they are a private business that are providing services to the state, but the doctors, for example, that appear in the piece, and the firefighters and all of that, they are public employees. But the company is supplying things like, for example, logistics, like the helicopters themselves. They make sure the helicopters are always equipped and ready to go and all of that. Okay, but let's watch the video, because after you watch the video, you'll understand a bit better what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Before the day has even begun, teams are on standby at Portugal's emergency medical helicopter bases. When a call comes, every second counts.
O tempo de resposta em emergência médica é o fator crítico de sucesso. Estamos com um tempo de excelência, nos 3 minutos conseguimos até baixar em certos casos. A nossa média é de 3 minutos de tempo de resposta após a ativação.
The operation is run by Malta's Gulf Med in partnership with medical teams from Portugal's National Institute of Medical Emergency. Teams are stationed at 4 bases across Portugal, ensuring coverage of almost the entire country. From remote island areas to roads and coastal zones, the helicopter is able to provide quick assistance. It is equipped with ski-like landing gear instead of wheels, so it can land on virtually any type of terrain.
Quando vamos a caminho e antes de vermos o doente, temos uma informação muito breve do que é descrito na chamada inicial. Nessa altura, em equipa, vamos discutindo potenciais cenários que vamos encontrar e antecipar potenciais dificuldades para conseguirmos antecipar e poupar tempo naquilo que poderemos na abordagem inicial do doente. Depois temos a parte da avaliação do doente, em que avaliamos, estabilizamos e otimizamos. Há um contacto com a central para a decisão para onde vamos transportar este doente. Depois uma segunda parte do transporte de helicóptero será com o doente.
Meanwhile, in the cockpit, the priority is to ensure everything goes smoothly all the way to the destination.
Generally, we check the weather, we have an idea, so that when a primary call comes in, we can react very fast. If it's night time, that's a bit different because we have to consider the conditions again and obviously where we're landing and things, whereas the primary, we can land almost anywhere, so we can react usually within 5 minutes.
Missions are divided into 2 categories. A primary mission is when a team is sent directly to the scene of the incident. Meanwhile, secondary missions are often transfers between hospital units.
Desde janeiro até agora foram realizadas cerca de 230 missões com o helicóptero desta base. 160 foram ocorrências primárias, mostrando que este é um meio importante de emergência, sobretudo no interior do país. Joana Mourão Carvalho, para a Euronews, em Évora.
Right. Answering what Viper Scott is asking here, yes. The entire response team, the call center where the emergency is received, the doctors, the firefighters, all of that. Okay, the firefighters also work here in Portugal a bit like the paramedics. All right, so that you understand, they are also, a part of the system, so to speak. We also have paramedics, but the firefighters here. I was a volunteer firefighter too. Okay, I have training in emergency care and all of that. This is how things work. So you have a private company that is providing modern air helicopters, professional pilots, the maintenance of the helicopters and of the entire system, the logistics of all of it, to always have a helicopter ready to go in the bases across the country. Viper Scott, yes, he might be ex-British force or Irish, he might be, okay. Even Portuguese pilots often go to military pilots after they end their term in the army, in the air force. Okay, they go and work for public and private companies. So it might be here. But as I was saying, this works this way. You have the INEM, which is the Instituto Nacional de Emergência Médica. This means the National Medical Emergency Institute. And this is a public office, okay? It's a part of the health ministry, okay? And so it's the state. And this institute, they run everything, all emergency acts, and also other things like, for example, the pathology services in the state. And when a person, for example, here has an injury and they do not agree, let me try to explain this in a very simple way. Anyone that is working has a medical insurance with a private company. whenever there is any kind of questions, the case goes to the court, and then these people, the doctors in this institute, they provide with the experts and the exams and all of that. All right, and the private company pays them, which is something very important. Okay, but what what I'm trying to tell you is that this I'm showing you these videos to show you how you can have private business working for the state as long as there is some care, all right, some care with the type of contracts that you make. And in this way, this is a private company, but in practical terms, in reality, they are working for the state as a part of the state. And this helps to cut costs. And this helps to have better services. Like Surfadas is saying right here, coming from an aviation maintenance background myself, the logistics tail is insane and is conductive to waste when the government entity is involved. Precisely by that, precisely, my friend. This way, it's run like a business. It's run like a business, okay? And that private company, their interest is, number one, to provide the best service that they can. Number two, to do it in the most cost-effective way. But the citizen, me, we have our services. And that is what interests the government. Come read, my friend. Look, you are completely free to disagree with me. But what I'm trying to tell you is that here this continues to be public healthcare. Because I will not pay 1 cent if I need to use these services. Often the helicopter is used, for example, in terms when there is an accident in a highway. This is an example. And the person needs to be transported to a hospital as quickly as possible. The helicopter goes and takes it. No, look, I will say this, Kamri. I will say this. In a system like the United Kingdom has now, this would not work. But you want to know how this company got this contract to provide these services? There is a public contest that anyone can see, and then there is a jury that is constituted by elements in the state, and they judge the proposals and they choose the one that is the best. And also our contracts, also, thank you for the link, Viper Scott. And just our contracts here, they have a timeline. And the state also has something that is to, if you are the private company, it has to offer a better service, or at least equal, than what the state is providing by doing the same thing. And if at any moment they are not doing a good job, or they are considered to be wasting too much of our money, our resources, they are sacked. Okay? It comes to the end of the year, you did not do your job well, bye-bye. No excuses, no payments, nothing like that. The government even tells them you can go to court and discuss it there. And it's over. Okay, but in a system like the United Kingdom, this would not work. Camry, this would not work. It simply would not work because Camry, I don't like to talk about my job online because I am bound by I cannot speak about my job and what I do. But yes, my friend, I know how it works. And here you want to know why it cannot be. Look, I'm not going to tell. Just recently, just this week, for example, one of the secretaries of state that is in charge of our investigative police, the equivalent to the, I don't know, to the Scotland Yard, he was caught receiving money to give the contracts directly to another to a company, Camry. Recently, right now, it's the big thing around here. He's being investigated. As we speak, he is being interrogated in court. Okay? And now, Camry, I'm going to explain to you why it works here. You want to know how this guy got caught? First of all, people that were working in the police themselves, they question why this company had been, they had given them the contracts directly. Then the state investigated. Then the tax system that pays for all of this investigated. Then the president investigated it. Then the EU investigated. You have multiple eyes on the cake. But yes, no, Viper Scott, I won't talk about it. I cannot talk about it, okay? If I could talk about it, okay, maybe one day I will make something private and we will talk about it, okay? But I cannot talk about it, really, honest. It's I signed it. It's in my job description, okay? This is why sometimes I talk about it, but I only talk about it at a level. But Camry, even here, when a local municipality, imagine this, they need to pave a road, and they don't have enough employees to do the job, and they need to contract an outside company to do the job. Even when this, I will read the comment. Even when this happens here, it would be the municipality, it would be the ministerial that is in charge of it. It would be the prime minister's cabinet. It would be the the tax office, and it would be the EU too. Okay, multiple eyes on it. Multiple companies submit their tender, and it's meant to live to provide. The issue here, Camry, is that around here we don't allow that, because if they are found working in cartel, they are banned forever from ever having any kind of public procurement. This happened to a couple of British companies. They were working in cartel with the two Portuguese companies just recently, I think 2 years ago, and they were banned definitely. And more than that, they get a criminal record. A company here, for example, when they want to make when they want to apply for a public procurement to supply or to provide services to the state, the company and the people in charge of the company, they all need their criminal record. Criminal record is a record of the entire criminal history of that person, okay? And if it's not clean, they won't be able to source any, they won't even be able to apply. Camry, if the job is of poor quality, look, in Camry, everything that you are saying can happen, my friend. The issue here is, around here they learn, and this is why now you have multiple eyes looking into it, because it happened in the past. But Camry, here, we don't allow the government to point fingers. This is why the Socialist Party, that was in power up until recently, until this new government of the Social Democrats came to be, they tried to do that. On the polls say it was not a fault, it was not us. You want to know what happened, my friend? They lost 30% of their voting. Oh, Camry, look, my friend, I'm not even questioning that. I'm not even questioning that. Okay, you have great understanding that. Yes, you have. Look, I'm not even questioning that. Okay, I'm just trying to tell you how things work here. But look, if this is something that interests you, I will make a dedicated video or stream talking about it. Okay? Now I want to talk about the other stuff that I have here to show you folks. But tell me in the chat if you want me to make everyone. Tell me if you want me to make a video talking about how public procurement works here. Okay? And how these private companies that work for the state, how things work. If you want me to do that, I will do this. But Camry, again, my friend, I'm not questioning your knowledge, okay? Not at all. So you don't appreciate people promoting. My friend, like I told you, I'm talking about my country. This video is specifically about Portugal. If I was living in the United Kingdom, I would not advise it. In the United Kingdom, I would go the other way around. Okay? If I was in the UK, I would go the other way around. Because I think you have to nationalize a lot of things. But okay, Camry, my friend, we are not here to argue, okay? We are here to discuss ideas. And to me, again, all good. All good. If that is your opinion, my friend, but like Viper Scott, I'm going to do that, okay? But Camry, I will do this, okay? I will make a video talking about how things work here. I will even provide the legislation and all of that, so that then you can see. And again, Camry, but I did not say corruption doesn't exist. I just told you that the state secretary, okay, the state secretary is sitting or was sitting yesterday in court explaining this, and he's under scrutiny right now, and he's suspended from duty. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying it's caught, which is something completely different. We arrested perhaps Camry. But my friend, please, I like this. I want you to continue to write your opinion in the chat, okay? Okay? I want you to do that because this is important. Anyone that is watching the stream now, okay? Anyone that is watching the stream right now, please open the little panel and read the chat, because the people that are here, they know. They know about this stuff, and you will find here a lot of people that know what they are talking about, people that have opinions and things that you should read and that you should know, wherever you are in the world. Hello, the Witch God. Welcome. Now, let's continue with the video. Okay, this is the last video I have to talk about here from Portugal. And this is about some interesting stuff that has been happening in the Atlantic. So, folks, 5 tons of cocaine. And I showed you this video because I need you to understand that this is not a daily occurrence, but this happens almost, I would say, every week this happens. I have a friend that works in the Portuguese Navy. He's a seaman, okay? And this happens every day. And now it's happening even more because ever since the Portuguese and the Spanish police started to cooperating, and up until last year, even the American, the USA Coastal Guard, they were cooperating with us too. But now, I don't think so. Camry, my friend, all good, okay? It's all good. I'm here for this. Okay, I'm here for this. And I want you. Was hidden. Oh God. Well, let's carry on. Now, folks, now I'm going to talk about another consequence of global warming, and the medusas, the Portuguese man of war, which how it is this called, it is now spreading. Now, the Portuguese man of war usually would only appear here in Portugal and also in Spain, in the southern beaches that have warmer waters. But right now, with all of this, which is a very worrying, consequence, as the waters are getting warmer further up north, the Portuguese man of war is spreading, and right now it has just reached northern Spain. Let's watch.
The presence of Portuguese man-o-war marine organisms with venomous tentacles has increased this summer in northern Spain, putting the beaches of the Cantabrian Sea on alert. In San Sebastian alone, officials reported 120 stings in a single day, with red alerts prohibiting swimming issued for several beaches. According to local officials, most cases were minor, but there have also been instances requiring hospitalization. Among them were a 58-year-old woman in Getxo, a 32-year-old woman in Sopela, and a 9-year-old boy in Plencia. All of them received medical attention after being stung. According to media reports, some 323 stings were recorded on the beaches of Bizkaia during the first half of the season. The Portuguese man-o-war is considered one of the most dangerous species that can reach the shores.
Now, folks, sorry for this. Well, I also had a little encounter with one of these beauties when I was a kid, and yeah, it's not good at all. Now, folks, this is something that we are going to really to learn how to get used to, because as time progresses, as climate change increases, we are going to be facing more and more events like this. Like I told you, the man o' wars, okay, they only usually would only appear as far north as perhaps Lisbon, and even so it would be rarer. But right now there are occasions in the year that the beaches all in South Portugal and South Spain, these creatures are appearing. Sharks are appearing, yes. Sharks was seen at a close proximity from the beaches in Algarve, which is worrisome. Sorry for this. Mine was in the foot. In the foot when I was a kid. Not nice. Here's something. Being on the damn thing, it really works. Okay, but we are going to be faced with these situations, and it's going to be more than heat waves in England, okay, and in Great Britain and in Scandinavia. It's going to be actual shifts of animal populations that never used to appear in our shores, and they are going to start to appear. And I think all of us, look, we need to face up to this and simply stop denying that climate change exists like some idiots and start simply facing up to things. Okay, we are going to have to face up to this. I don't like AC, but let me tell you this: I'm going to get an AC for at least for my bedrooms. Okay, I'm going to have to. It's not a question that I don't want to. It's a question that I have to, because the nights here, they have been absolutely unbearable. Right now, inside of the house, it must be around, I don't know, 25 degrees, 26 degrees. Outside, it's around 30, 35 degrees positive Celsius. Okay? So we are going to have to deal with this stuff. We are going to make some very hard choices, and look, we are just going to have to deal with it. Now, another interesting history, and this one, discovery in history, and this one is in Rome. Let's watch this one.
Noi abbiamo trovato un edificio con 5 stanze complete, quindi è un edificio piuttosto grande, soprattutto con rivestimenti di pregio, perché abbiamo in particolare nel vano D, nell'ambiente D, abbiamo sovrapposti 2 mosaici, uno di III secolo e quello inferiore invece di II. Essendo una scoperta eccezionale, abbiamo approfondito lo scavo, che non era previsto, diciamo, di questa entità, ma l'abbiamo man mano sempre più approfondito proprio per cercare di capire che cosa avevamo davanti, insomma, che cosa stavamo scoprendo.
Ci hanno restituito un apparato decorativo di grande pregio con mosaici pavimentali. Una di queste stanze presenta un mosaico bellissimo, geometrico, con al centro un emblema raffigurante pesci, delfini intorno a un cratere.
Right. Just a little news piece, okay, to break the flow a bit before we get into other more important stuff. Now, one thing I will tell you, you want to know what surprised me the most? Is that type of mosaic, yeah, Posh Fire Station, that's nice of this. But the thing that most surprised me about it is that those types of mosaics, they're still being done here in the Portuguese cobblestone. It's about the same model, okay, that you can see in any old town here in Portugal, and it's very interesting to see that a little bit of those people is still here with us. And I know that in the UK there are also a couple of nice cobblestones, and you have Adrian as well. Okay, that is an interesting one that I would like to see. Now, folks, now let's talk about telemarketing. Sometimes people say in Europe it's the same as the United States. They can do this, they can do that. I'm talking about some idiots that I sometimes hear about here in the in my videos and in my life online. And I would like to show you what France is now doing, and that if it works, it will spread across Europe, because things like here, they work this way. If something is working, usually all of us start to use it. All right, let's watch this video.
Starting from next week, unsolicited telemarketing calls will be banned in France, a law aimed at protecting consumers from intrusive sales pitches and vulnerable people from fraudulent commercial practices goes into effect on the 11th of August. Companies will now be prohibited to contact consumers without their prior consent, which can be withdrawn at any time. Over the past 15 years, numerous measures have already been implemented. A ban on cold calling from 06 and 07 numbers, as well as during certain hours of the day or on weekends. However, these restrictions apply only to a few specific sectors. From now on, the ban will apply to virtually all sectors. Until now, people had to register on a platform to opt out of being contacted. The French Finance Ministry said the country is now moving from an opt-out system to one of prior consent. Cold calling will, however, remain permitted in two cases: when the call concerns a contract you have already entered into, or when the company has obtained your prior consent, for example during a purchase, a store visit, or via a form.
Okay, now folks, there are already some restrictions here in Portugal. Okay, if for example I don't want to receive any kind of advertisement in my physical or online mail, on the online mail I register in the site, in the Portuguese site, okay, and I opt out of receiving advertisement in my email. And in my my physical post box, okay, I simply just mailbox, sorry, I simply put a sticker on it, and they do not put anything inside of it. And to me, someone that hates these damn things, I cannot wait for this to be implemented here, because now they can contact you, okay? You can simply say no, or you can opt out, or whatever, but this still can bother you. And I have no patience for it. Me, I don't know how it is with you, but me, when I want something, I go and look for it. Okay? I don't need anyone to come around and bother me with advertisement at all times of the day. Sometimes when I'm working and I need to keep my phone on all the time when I'm working, and I simply don't like it. But you folks tell me your opinion in the chat. Now, recently, Billy Kershaw, I think everything, not public service, okay, not public service from the state. I don't know if you in the UK you have them, but here we have something that is called the National Institute of Statistics, and sometimes they conduct studies of the population, and those they have to be authorized to do it. But even they have strict rules. They need to identify themselves. They need to warn you first that they are going to conduct the survey. Usually you get either a message on your phone or something like that, but I think it would apply to everything, absolutely everything. Because after all, many private companies, they start surveys just for the sake of it, okay, to benefit themselves and benefit their business. So to me, at least from a legal perspective, it would be considered to be a business call. And if it's a business call, it's telemarketing, and it falls under the same its exact category as these ones. But this is my opinion, okay? My, let's call it legal opinion. Now, folks, recently, a person that I talked with that is Japanese, they talked about how Japan is starting projects and, let's call it, technology sharing with the EU alongside South Korea and also Australia and New Zealand and all of that, including entering into the safe mechanism to produce weapons in Europe. I have now a news that I came across in Euronews that I found very interesting about a Japanese inventor, I kid you not, that is turning soil into a source of electricity. This is an interesting one. Let's watch this.
我々フォーカスとしてというかビジョンとしては我々がこう今研究している、土や建築の残土とかマイクロプラスチックスから電気が出せるような、技術、その小さな電気でありますけど、それが何らかの形で、世の中で例えばノーブラックアウトに何か支援できるとか、災害の時の一つのコミュニケーションのためのセラフォンをチャージできるとか。で100億に近づこうとする人口を食料問題とともにエネルギーの問題も非常に重要になってで AI になってくればデータ上で大変な電力がいる、そういう時小さな助けかもしれないですけども、皆さんが身の回りの土を使って自分で電気を作るっていう。
Well, I hope you found this one as interesting as I did, because look, it's absolutely brilliant. Surfer I really don't know how he does it, okay? But if I find anything more about it, I will talk about it, okay? I already have that, now I have this stream about public procurement, that it's important, and I will talk about it, okay? And Kamri, please, my friend, if you are still in the chat, please chat with us, okay? I accept your opinion, okay? But when I make that that stream or that video, I want you please to come in, either comment on the video or enter in the chat and talk with me about it, okay? I'm here to learn, folks, okay? You can tell me, for example, João, I don't agree with you, okay? There is absolutely no issues with it, okay? I don't how can I say this? Sorry, the words are missing me a bit. Sorry, it's the heat. I like when people disagree, if they disagree, and tell me why, because we are learning. I'm learning, okay? I'm learning about it, and this is important. I was just talking about how things work here. Just that, okay? I hope this is clear, because I don't want them. Please don't take this the wrong way, because I'm not those type of that type of person, okay? I am not that type of person. No, okay. Now, folks, it seems Mr. Infantino he's getting a lot of backlash. So I have here two videos where we are going to talk about FIFA and UEFA and all of that. As you know, UEFA threatened to boycott FIFA if Mr. Infantino did not back out from his private investments plans. By the way, that was financed by the brother of Jared Kushner, okay, that is married with Trump's daughter. Okay, very interesting, right? And he backed down. But did that really help him? Let's watch a video.
European football governing body UEFA has threatened to proceed with a boycott of FIFA events, rejecting an official apology over a collapsed $20 billion private investment plan. Following an emergency FIFA meeting in Rabat, President Gianni Infantino claimed full support from senior management. However, UEFA insisted its 55 member associations will maintain boycott pledges, stating FIFA failed to provide guarantees against future attempts to sell off major competitions. UEFA dismissed FIFA's internal statement, arguing backing from Infantino's own staff changes nothing. The institutional conflict expanded on Thursday as global player union FIFPro launched a fierce attack on FIFA leadership. FIFPro condemned the Morocco summit as a governance failure and a profound abuse of presidential power. The union accused FIFA of attempting to dismiss a constitutional crisis as a simple communications error.
Right. And isn't it interesting that the meeting was precisely in Morocco? This is water, by the way. Where all of those migrants suddenly invaded Ceuta. That is completely isolated from mainland Spain, from mainland Europe. Very interesting. And I have this video in which you see that UEFA will probably continue to boycott him. You know, they want him to get out. They want Infantino to leave. And this was the answer of Gianni Infantino. Let's watch.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino is set to remain in office following an emergency crisis meeting with senior executives in Rabat on Wednesday. The high-level talks followed a fierce international backlash over a private investment plan. The proposed commercial subsidiary, dubbed FIFA Forward Enterprise, sought to raise up to $4.2 billion based on an initial $20 billion valuation. FIFA released an official statement acknowledging that errors were made, confirming letters of apology were dispatched to member associations while reaffirming the plan has been binned. Despite FIFA management declaring full support for Infantino, hostility across the sport continues to escalate. European governing body UEFA threatened to boycott FIFA events, while member associations including Wales, Serbia and Sweden formally withdrew backing for his re-election. The political fallout deepened as former player Luis Figo and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney publicly called for Infantino's immediate resignation.
Proper governance.
The crisis adds to existing scrutiny surrounding Infantino's leadership during the 2026 World Cup across North America and ongoing disputes over host allocation process for the 2030 tournament.
Right, so our friend Mr. Infantino is in hot waters, and he should be. And let me tell you something, I think the guy, he should just give it up. Okay, he's completely burned. You won't be able to do anything because no one in the world of football will trust him. No, everyone just wants him to leave. If you don't know this, you in America, the World Cup was a bloody fiasco, okay? FIFA, they earn a lot of money, all right? But I think some cities in Canada itself lost money, which is not good at all. And cities in the United States, they also only earn mildly, and still it was not enough to justify the World Cup. So this entire business of the World Cup, it was a bloody mess. And I think Infantino should leave, and FIFA, okay, we either need something to replace FIFA. Okay, we need to replace FIFA, or at least change it completely. Yes, Viper Scott, he's breaking. It was a money grab. Yes, it was. Okay, it was. And to me, it's an absolute disgrace, and it's very bad for the sport. Let's call it like this. And I'm glad to see already some countries are starting to get ahead and say they won't support him, like Wales and like Sweden. And Figo, he's a Portuguese former football player. He's a guy with a lot of influence and a lot of connections and a lot of money. So if he too starts to say, you better leave, he's not just saying it for himself. He's saying for a lot of players. I will give you this example. Whatever Figo says, Ronaldo will come following. Don't you doubt it, okay? But at least I hope so. Now, folks, let's talk about some news that, in my opinion, they are not very good for the United Kingdom. Because another business in the United Kingdom is being taken over by an American corporation. And this is yet another sign, let's call it like this, that I don't know if you can really trust in anybody, to be honest. I really don't know. I'm getting more and more signs. I hope to God that I'm wrong, that he does something decent for the United Kingdom and for the people in the United Kingdom. But let's just watch the video.
The British budget airline EasyJet has confirmed a €6.6 billion takeover by U.S. private equity firm Apollo. The deal comes after rival U.S. investment group Castle Lake pulled out of the bidding and is expected to be complete by the end of next year's first quarter. EasyJet's headquarters will remain in the town of Luton, known for its airport close to London. As a foreign entity, Apollo is unable to take full ownership of the airline. UK and European rules require firms to be majority-owned and controlled by regional nationals. The US firm said it would take necessary steps to find a European partner.
Now, folks, this we can be facing a a situation that can be due to for two reasons. Either this is another American company trying to remove investment from the USA itself, like Amazon and Microsoft, for example, have been doing. Okay, we need to make a video about this, talk about this, but it's still a bit up in the air, so I would like to have more information before I talk about it. I don't like to talk about such an important subject without having confirmation, but apparently there are a lot of American companies that are investing in euros and investing in European companies so that they can remove their assets from the United States where they are having major catastrophic losses, or they are trying to grab as much as they can before the bubble explodes. But these are all suppositions, folks, so I really don't like to talk about it without having confirmation. Okay, this is why I would say take all of this with a pinch of salt. The other reason is that they are really trying to control a European airline. They went to the weakest link, the United Kingdom, but EasyJet works all over Europe. I don't like to fly, and I have taken a flight with EasyJet. It was nice, I suppose. It was cheap. It was around 30 euros to go to France. Okay, but it is what it is. But like Billy Kershaw is saying here, fine, just no bailout when they fail. Another cash and grab to run it into the ground. Viper Scott. It might be. End of ordering. And look, I don't like to see this, okay? And even with all the rules that the United Kingdom has, and it also has some rules, okay? But the truth is this. We have, like they said in the piece, and did you see how they talked about it? You had two American companies competing for the same. And one of them removes itself so that the other can win. To me, from the start, this is highly suspicious, okay? There is some underhand business going on around here, and I would not trust this too much, okay? But this is very suspicious to me, and look, it's bad business to sell anything to the Americans, and I think it's about time that the United Kingdom discovers that the special relationship, it only means something to you. It doesn't mean anything to them. To them, it just means that your market is more similar and accessible to that for them. You know, it was President Lula that said that Americans only think about Americans. President Lula of Brazil, and I happen to agree with him. And again, I know we have Americans in the chat, my friends. I'm talking about your government. I'm not talking about decent people, okay? Let's make that very clear. Now, I have another news from the United Kingdom. This one is a serious one. I don't know if this has been talked about in the United Kingdom or not, but I suppose so, because this is not something that happens every day, hopefully. But a woman that has been charged after she stabbed 4 men. Okay. Bye, which you got. Thank you for stopping by.
London Metropolitan Police have arrested a 47-year-old woman after 4 men were stabbed in Covent Garden on Wednesday afternoon. Emergency services responded to reports of a violent attack in the busy shopping district at around 12:30 p.m. Paramedics treated 4 men, aged 34, 39, 42, and 52, before transporting them to major trauma centers as a priority. 2 victims remain hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries, while 2 others have been discharged. Witnesses reported seeing police officers deploy tasers to detain the suspect, who was known locally in the area. Officers seized a pair of scissors at the scene. Authorities cordoned off the streets for several hours, with air ambulance crews landing in nearby Trafalgar Square. Detectives confirmed the investigation remains at an early stage, but is currently being treated as a mental health-related incident.
Well, enjoy your lunch, which you got. Thank you for stopping by. Now, I don't know what really happened. Sorry, folks. Allergies, not boogers, okay? But I don't really know what happened, but I saw this and I thought it was so unusual. I hope this was just a case of someone with mental issues that might be having a crisis or something like that, because this is one of those things, okay? But if any of you in the chat, you know what happened, you folks based in the UK, please put it in, okay, and tell us about it. Now, we are going to talk about something that was celebrated. Let's talk about it. Let me just read this. Not heard of that incident wrong. So probably she's not a migrant and she's white. Yes, unfortunately, probably. Because if she was a migrant or dark complexion, so to speak, the right wing would grab this and run with it. But this would be interesting to know. Now, folks, 2 days ago, a very infamous date was celebrated, and I have this video here to show you, because I think it's important that we all remember what happened, and we all make sure that it doesn't happen again. Folks, let's watch this video.
Hiroshima marked the 81st anniversary of the U.S. atomic bombing of the western Japanese city on Thursday. The city's mayor criticized major powers for waging wars and resorting to nuclear threats. He urged them to stop justifying the possession of nuclear weapons as a method of deterrence.
今年開催された NPT 再検討会議では過去2回に続き成果文書が不採択となりました。その原因は他国に責任を転嫁し自国の行動を正当化する為政者の言動にあります。核兵器の非人道性を軽視し自国の繁栄のための武力行使を認めることは暴力を伴う報復の連鎖を許容し第3の広島、長崎を作り出すことになりかねません。
Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi, who attended the memorial for the first time as Prime Minister, said she will take a realistic approach toward achieving a world where nuclear weapons are never used. The ceremony, however, comes at a time of speculation that Takaichi's government may ease its non-nuclear principles.
我が国は非核三原則を堅持しており、唯一の戦争被爆国として核兵器のない世界の実現に向けた努力を The
bombing of Hiroshima on the 6th of August in 1945 destroyed the city and killed 140,000 people. A second bomb dropped 3 days later and Nagasaki killed 70,000. Japan surrendered on the 15th of August, ending World War II and Japan's nearly half-century of aggression in Asia.
Now, we will hear a lot of people talking about this, and they will say, well, Japan had it coming to them. They were the aggressors. They had invaded other countries. They committed atrocities all over Asia. And I would say, yes, you're right. Yes, Japan did that. But I would ask you to I would ask you to watch a documentary right here in YouTube. I think the name is Black Rain, and it talks about the survivors of the nuclear blast. And I would like you to listen to them because they interviewed normal people, absolutely normal people, regular citizens that were going about with their life, and suddenly their world ended. I have always had issues with nuclear weapons. I don't know if you believe in such a things. Perhaps I lived there and suffered. Someone once told me this. I don't really know what to make about it because I don't really care about those types of things like reincarnation or whatever, but it is what it is. And then with what I saw with Chernobyl right here, people that I knew that died. I knew the kids when I was a child, and then I came to know that most of those kids that I knew that came from Chernobyl here, they didn't survive. They are not here, the majority of them. So it is what it is. But I think it's important for us to remember this and to remember the consequences. The lady has been charged, but I can't find nothing else on MS Central. Okay? Okay. Let's hope that it was just a mental issue. Yeah, and yes, Safedas, you are right. Sensationalism. It's called clickbait now. Yes. Different name, the same thing. Billy Kershaw. I remember arguing with my uncle when I was a kid about the bomb. His opinion was that it saved many Allied lives. And Viper Scott is saying he heard that from other people. Well, let me tell you what my father told me. And my father was in a war, in our colonial war. He just had one word to describe Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Stupid. I understand, like Sefedes is saying here, the massive he's saying this, the massive USSR army about to invade Japan that did the trick, and I also have heard that it spared the lives of a lot of American soldiers' lives after what they saw when they occupied Japanese occupied areas and islands. I understand all of that, but the same bomb that was dropped over the cities, it could have been dropped over the sea. Any other type of example could have been used, but they used it on civilians. It's no different from what the Nazis did in Germany. It's no different from what the Israelis are doing right now in Palestine. It's no different what of the USA just did and is still doing in Iran, where they double tap a school filled with little girls. I cannot. I understand war, I understand the economics, but I don't understand brutality. And I also don't understand the concept that uh, uh, every goal justifies all means. No. Even if sometimes we lose, even if sometimes we die, at least we do not commit. Did not commit brutality. Yes, Pepper Scott, Ukrainian kids. I met him right here. The beach resort, let's call it like this, to where I used to go. It had a Catholic non-profit organization that brought children from Ukraine here, and they would be lodged in the houses of volunteers, families, usually families with some means, richer people. And I would play with those kids when I was a kid myself too, okay? I was born in 1975, so I'm 51, so you know how old I was. And the fact is that most of those kids, I'm always joking about being very, very pale, very pasty and getting red in the sun. And to tell you the truth, I looked 10 next to those kids because they were so pale, so sickly pale. They looked almost like mannequins. That was the first impression that I had. And I would play with them, okay, and we would talk normal teenage stuff. And it was a shock to me a couple of years later when I met with one of them that actually relocated here to Portugal. And he told me that most of them had died. They had not survived. So even if I know that we will probably need nuclear energy to battle climate change and our dependence on fossil fuels, I am still not okay with it. And I still think that we should find out other ways of doing it. And using it as a weapon, it's useless and it's disgusting. They could have done a lot of things, like Viper Scott and Billy Kershaw are saying here in the chat. They could have dropped it in the desert area to show them what would happen if they didn't surrender. Exactly. They could have done a lot of things. But instead they choose to do that. And to me, it's a crime against humanity. But look, this is a long discussion that we might have. Now, folks, talking about Europe replacing the United States as the military determined. Let me just, was it not a different USA president that said it should be dropped because the wartime one died? Yes, Roosevelt died, and then I don't recall the name. Was it Truman? I don't recall the name. It was the Eisenhower, something like that. That was the leader at the time. I don't think Roosevelt wanted to drop them. This is an impression that I have, but I will have to look into it. If anyone in the chat knows it, please tell us, okay? Now, folks, speaking about Europe replacing the United States as the military deterrent of NATO in Europe, let's watch this video.
For the first time in its history, the Bundeswehr is permanently deploying a combat brigade abroad. By the end of 2027, around 5,000 German troops will be stationed in Lithuania. For the Baltic state, which borders Belarus and Russia's Kaliningrad exclave, the brigade represents a vital security guarantee. For Vilnius, the brigade is a clear sign of Germany's long-term commitment.
In Lithuania, it has very positive effect. In Lithuania, more than 80% of population trust Germany and Germany's decision. So this is also something to bear in mind. This is the fact that I always share with my colleagues in Germany, saying that you are not only welcome, we believe in what you are doing, we have no doubts, and we believe in our joint future. So from our side, it's also additional part from our side what concerns host nation support. We're doing maximum.
But the brigade isn't just there to reassure Lithuania, it's also meant to send a clear message to any potential aggressor.
For the adversaries that would think that this part of the front line of NATO is somehow weak, so it proves that they're wrong, and the message is very clear. So troops are here already, and they will be increased. And this is the clear sign that the defense will be, if it is needed, turned on from the very first second. So I see it as the factor for effective deterrence.
For Lithuania, the brigade marks a new chapter in its defense partnership with Germany, one built on a permanent presence rather than temporary deployments.
Let me just have a little sip of water. So, folks, Mr. Trump is always saying Europe can't defend itself. They don't do anything. We are paying for their entire defense. Well, this is what Europe has been doing. This is happening not just here, okay? This is not happening just here. This is happening all over Europe. This is happening from Romania to Finland. We are replacing the United States. And to any Democrat president that comes after the lunatic, if you are able to regain your country, and I hope that you are able to do it and at least become a normal state with normal relations with other countries, the times of American sovereignty, let's call it like this, or oversee over NATO in Europe is done. Your buddy Hexet or Kegsbret, he made sure that that would not change. And even the threats by Mr. Rubio, that if you don't know this, he went around Europe threatening us. This is the response to their threats. We even get more pissy and European. And let me tell you just this to our friends in the United Kingdom, and we want you here with us. And this is why I'm getting annoyed at this new Prime Minister, because I'm not seeing any signs. So far, he has caved in to Trump at least 2 times, starting with that shit into the Northern Sea. That is only going to bring more pollution and more issues to Scotland. It's more draining the wealth of Scotland to feed England, to feed not even England, to feed Westminster. They are sucking the resources of all the countries in the Union. They are sucking it from Wales. They are sucking it from Scotland and from Northern Ireland. Okay, this is one of those aspects that I'm not going to be able to deal with until I have more information. But I'm not seeing good signs. Let me tell you this. I know there are a lot of people that are very other YouTubers. They are very optimistic about Andy Burnham, but let me tell you this: I'm not one of them. Let me just read the chat before we go into the next piece. Surfer Des, Ike warned about the danger of the military-industrial complex. Yes, he did, but no one listened to him. I would say this: the French listened to him, so much so that the French were the only ones that continue to have an independent army. Independent, powerful army, let's call it like this. He didn't want it to be dropped, Boswell, yes. I remembered something like that. Germany troops also in another country to making a borderline defense. Yes, because we need to defend the borders, okay? And the only way we are going to do this is to install brigades that we can call it NATO, but giving in to the fears of 1,000 Brexiters, this is a EU army that is being bought, okay? A European army, and we are going to need it. And funny enough, you remember that I talked with you about this in another stream, where I said that the model that they would follow would probably be regional commands integrating the armies of the area, where, well, apparently this is exactly what they are doing. Poland with Germany and the Baltic states, in the north Finland, Sweden and Norway and Denmark. In the extreme south, you have Portugal and Spain, and also with France. You have Italy, you have the Balkans and Greece. This is all. Look, even the talks in Cyprus, talking about the reunification of the island and talking about deal, and they saying that everything is to be decided in Ankara right now, meaning they already made the proposal and they have presented it to Erdogan to see if he will approve it in that way, or he wants to discuss it and whatever. All of this, these are just symptoms, okay? And we just have to connect the dots to see how the geopolitics is evolving. And it's evolving in the sense that, and now I'm going to rant again, but I have to. Not Midas Touch, not Texas Poll. There are two Democrats, let's call it YouTubers, that I follow because they have information. Let's be honest about it. But these two, they don't understand this part of geopolitics. They are not seeing the full scope of it. That guy, the trucker guy, Josh eating the cats, that guy, he's a simple trucker, but he's a smart guy. And he sees it. He sometimes talks about it in his videos. He sees this difference occurring. But the Democrats in the United States right now, and this is my rant, and please disagree with me if you want to disagree, but they are completely blinded to what is happening across the world. They don't understand the big picture. They don't understand that Europe is doing things without telling them, so to speak. They don't understand that their influence and power is waning. They don't even want to look at their companies. They don't even want to look at their companies, and this is why I told you I want to look into more on this. In the beginning, when I was talking about this here right now in the street, even their own companies are extracting their wealth and moving it to Europe. It's the biggest destiny of their wealth because they know what is going to happen. Once you have broken this paradigm, and I talked about this in the stream, maybe I will have to talk about it again. You broke this paradigm in which Europe was a client and was paying for American weapons. And then the Americans were grabbing that money and that know-how and those parts, and they were investing in it into their own military complex and in their army, and thus they were able to have power projection all over the world with bases all everywhere. They would be able to deploy large number of troops, and by doing that, they would ensure a continuous economic flow. And what did they do? Look, I will say this again. This started when Obama, who was a good president, let's say it as it is, was too weak to stop the Russians from taking Crimea. That was the first warning sign. Then, during COVID, and a little bit before, you elected Trump. Sign number 2. And now you re-elected him again. That was like a warning shot to everyone in Europe, and not just in Europe, in Japan, in South Korea, all over the so-called Western world. It was a warning shot, and to China, it was a warning shot that the House of Cards was crumbling down. Okay? And these are things that all of you that are right here in the stream with me, listening to me, this is something all of you can go and watch and understand. Because it's visible. We sometimes don't see things. Alistair, okay. I will think about it, my friend. But you want to know what I'm not afraid of, but a bit eager? It's because the bin face, I watched a couple of stuff by them. They seem like to be decent people. They are. They are decent people. They have nice ideas. But my issue here is this. I might offend them. Okay? I might offend them. Surfer is seeing this here. Those tools are just disguised corporate puppets and just is most definitely true worthy. Correct, Surfer. Correct. Okay? Because I had arguments with mods in Texas Paul. Because they did not like what I was talking about. And that is all I'm going to say about it. Person impersonator is seeing here. Obama didn't prioritize European issues. It's not that he didn't want to take on Russia, he just didn't care for Euro. Yes, probably. Probably, my friend. Probably. The issue here is that Obama, I think right now he might understand it. But Obama didn't understand that without Europe, the current United States does not exist. I don't like to talk about empires and all of that, but let me just see. Just having a bit of lagging. But it is what it is. Now, but okay, folks, let me just I want to just to show you the rest of the stuff that the videos that I have to show you. Now let's talk about Ukraine and what Ukraine has been doing to Russia. Okay, and sorry for the buffering. I don't understand what it is. My connection is optimal. I have excellent internet. It must be something in YouTube. Okay, folks, let's watch this video about what Ukraine is doing right now to our friend Vlad.
Ukraine has struck two Russian oil refineries hundreds of kilometers from the border in an overnight attack, President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Thursday as Russia hit a train station and commercial ship in Ukraine. According to Zelensky, Ukraine had hit oil refineries in the Bashkortostan and Yaroslav region, about 700 kilometers from the front lines. The attacks were, quote, strengthening the prospects for diplomacy, Zelensky said. The attacks come after Russia's assaults on Kyiv that killed at least 17 people on Wednesday and injured dozens more as Kyiv deals with a shortage of interceptor missiles. Zelensky said later Wednesday that he had spoken to NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte about securing more interceptor missiles. Both sides have been intensifying their long-range attacks in recent months, leading to a jump in civilian deaths. In July, Russian attacks killed at least 377 civilians and wounded some 2,129 others in Ukraine, making it the deadliest month of the invasion since April 2022.
Right. The long range. Sorry, let me just. I need just to do some tender love and care because YouTube is really pissy about this thing sometimes. Sorry. Just give me 1 second, folks. 1 second. This way you know this is live and that I'm not some kind of AI generated bearded man. Okay. Folks, this is very important, okay? Because this is just another consequence of what Russia is doing. Russia is trying to provoke, in my opinion, the Ukrainians for them to start to attack civilian complexes. Russia is targeting specifically civilian targets. They are conducting an absolutely disgusting type of war. Sophides, our friend Vlad, yes? Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, okay? And let me just read this. I don't think you would, my friend. But you get my point. Look, Alistair, I'm not saying that we cannot talk about it, and maybe I can do a stream with them or something like that, but just as long as they understand that, look, I'm not that kind of person that will just nod my head to get acceptances, okay? I'm not that kind of person. I will accept that someone tells me that I'm wrong and that perhaps I need to make a stream to explain why I have this opinion, like already happened here in this stream. I just hope that Camry is not offended with me. This is absolutely not my intention, okay? But I just don't want them to be offended. And when I go into a situation in which, look, they are going to be, example, Democrats will do this and do that. What will Democrats do if Europe no longer wants the military and political overseeing of the United States? What will a Democrat president say if, for example, a president of the EU Commission tells him no? What is going to be their reaction? What is going to be their reaction when the dollar starts to crash down, and it's already crashing down? They bought this is very interesting, and this is a very quick economic lesson. Japan is like the house where the United States borrows to be able to have a higher debt. And as you know, it's in the many trillions range, 24 trillions or something like this. I don't recall the exact number right now. So Japan, giving a master class of economics to the Americans, says this: look, either you prop up my yen and you buy it, or I'm going to sell your bonds for euros or yuan, in order, yuan less probable, but more euros probably, or British pounds, and we are going to sell all your debt, we are going to dump it into the market. And what would happen was that would be that the American capability of indebting themselves would sink to the ground. It would instantly, look, this is one of those events that I tell you this, it would crash the American economy in less than a week. So what did the United States did? They went and they propped up the yen so that the Japanese could keep on holding on to their debt. And they believed, the Americans, and I heard this from bloody democratic YouTubers, and this is what effing annoys me. I don't want to swear in this stream. I'm trying to control myself because I understand it might offend a couple of people, and I don't want to offend people. So I will try to control myself. And they are saying, oh, they did this because this way they are going to devaluate the euro. And I think to myself, fuck me, man. Are you fucking idiots? Don't you effing understand what is happening here? Because they understand the first part, in which you have to buy the yen, you have to prop up the yen to continue to have so the Japanese don't dump your bonds. But then they reverse the result of this shit and they say, and this is going to bring down the euro. When I know for a fact that American companies are selling their dollar assets and investing into euros. And this is something that if I say this, that might be American people that get offended with me. Person impersonator, a great comment. This is the new American exceptionalism. They can lose allies faster than any country outside Israel. Some even say they are the best at losing allies and no one has seen anything like it before. Exactly, my friend. It's a completely shit show. And I go into this side. I look at a guy like Texas Paul. Apparently, he knows what he's talking about. And I sometimes agree with one or other things that he says. And then I watch this guy twisting this into an attack on euro. You want to know what happened to the euro? Well, I monitored the euro over these days. And you can monitor yourselves through online. It was worth $112. Then it was worth $113. Then it was worth $114, $115. And yesterday, when last I saw, $1 was worth 1.16 euros. It did bloody nothing to the euro. €1 is now worth 182 yen. So it's about in the same place. And I watched this guy talking about this shit and calling the oligarchs in Europe and whatever the hell he's talking about. And then when you try to reason with him, you are unable to reason with him. Look, and I understand it's chat filled with more than 1,000 subscribers all talking at the same time. I understand that. I don't have many people here in the chat, and I sometimes find it a bit hard to talk about things as I read the chat. Okay, but the euro is absolutely fine. And you want to know why? Because those mechanisms that the EU was implementing with the central bank, to be more concrete, what the central bank in Europe was in the EU was installing the same principles and mechanisms that the United Kingdom did not want to adhere to because it would end the money laundering of a lot of people and a lot of shady investments that happen in the city. And this is common knowledge. Everyone knows it. I'm not saying some kind of a lie. Everyone even knows the concept of Londongrad. We all know it. Because when we started to implement those mechanisms, we put the United States in a little bubble. We detached it from our economy. And if the proposals that Spain is presenting that are being discussed at the governmental level and then will have to be presented to the EU Parliament, and for the EU Commission has to study it and then present it to the EU Parliament, if we go to a common debt, this would mean there would be absolutely no influence of the United States in our economy. Zero. Right now, it's collateral. If they go down, we won't go down, but we will have issues. But the same issues that China or Japan will have. Or the UK. Okay? But if this goes through, it's over for the United States. And you are telling me that the guy that is studying the economics and the response of everyone every day and claiming to know what is happening talks this shit. And this is why Viper Scott, okay, I don't want to, at least for now, to make a stream with the bean face, because they might not understand this. Because I understand what they are being fed. I also understand that they are still in a country that is very powerful. Okay? Let me just read the comments before we go to the next news. A person impersonator. There is trouble with far right in Europe, but overall it is a whole bunch of nations learning to cooperate with each other to benefit their citizens. Exactly, my friend. It has its issues. Look, this is not a paradise. My country is not a paradise. We have a lot of issues to deal with. But the question here is, we are dealing with it. We are not closing our eyes and covering our ears and saying, no, 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 no. We are not doing that. Exactly, Viper Scott. The new banking rules that cause Brexit. The US, look, the UK. This is an before I go into the next piece, or I'll start ranting. This is an existential threat to the UK. And when I'm talking about the UK, I'm even talking about the individual countries, nations that compose the United Kingdom, the Union. I'm talking about Scotland, I'm talking about England, I'm talking about Wales, I'm talking about Northern Ireland. You either change the way that you act and give, if it's a union of countries, you give equality to all the countries and you all decide, irregardless, without considering, the population. We know England has a larger population. Regardless of that, you either do that and reshape your state. You want to keep your little king sausage hands, keep the bloody king sausage hands. Other countries have kings too. All right? And you detach yourselves from the United States, or you are like that analogy that I like to use a lot. You are like a gazelle that has bailed out of the herd, and now all the predators in the savannah are looking at you and salivating. Person impersonator. The UK is more overwhelmed with toxic Twitter than any other European nations. We might not be in the EU, but we are still European. Yes, you are. Look, person impersonator. I consider every citizen of the United Kingdom as a fellow European. Billy Kershaw says, it's not a problem. We are on different buses heading roughly in the same direction. I hope so. I hope so, my friend. I really hope so. I really hope so. I really hope that we, because let me be clear, a EU that has the UK is stronger, but not this UK. A EU with this UK would be weaker, because you are too controlled by the United States. This example of Burnham doing this shit right now, it's a clear example. And Israel and all of that. Look, Israel is spreading money across Europe. Okay? They are. But they don't have the influence that they have in the United Kingdom. Okay? People here can freely criticize what Israel is doing in Palestine and in Gaza. And in the United Kingdom, they are arresting people for doing that. Think about it. Okay? A major difference. Now, let's watch another video about our dear friend Vlad. He so much wanted his Shadow Fleet ships back, but apparently he might get them, but probably up his arse when Ukraine sticks it up him. Let's watch this video.
Sweden will hand over to Kyiv a seized Russian Shadow Fleet cargo ship, which Ukraine suspects of transporting grain stolen from its occupied territory. It comes after the Supreme Court on the 4th of August dismissed an appeal by Kafa Shipping Limited, which owns the 96-meter Kafa, in a bid to block the transfer requested by Ukraine and approved by two lower courts in Sweden. On Thursday, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha thanked Sweden, saying, quote, "This landmark decision sets an important precedent." The Kafa, which was sailing under a false Guinean flag, was headed for St. Petersburg when armed Swedish police boarded it early March off Trelleborg on its southern coast. 10 of the 11 crew on board were Russian nationals. According to the Ystad District Court in Stockholm, authorities had acted on a request for legal assistance from Ukraine, with Kafa being the subject of investigation. Analysts believe Moscow's shadow fleet consists of aging ships in poor condition, without proper insurance and with opaque ownership, which are often used to skirt Western sanctions.
Right. Folks, although the European system of law does not work under the same principle of the precedent as you would find in the United Kingdom and to a degree in the USA, this is a very important, because this sets a legal precedent that other countries inside of the EU can now use as a justification or a legal way of doing exactly the same way. So you will find that ships belonging to the Shadow Fleet will go the same way as the ships that belong to the oligarchs. They are going to be taken over by the state. They are going to be either delivered to Ukraine for them to use for military or civilian purposes, or they are going to be sold at the market and the money will be given to Ukraine. And in my view, that's the way to go. But I would like you to consider that this is a very important legal precedent, because Sweden, with the necessary changes, it follows a similar law system as other countries in Europe. It follows the continental imperial system. Let's call it like this. Or Roman German, or French German, or whatever you want to call it. So-called continental law. With their changes, because they also have their specific laws and regulations. But this is very important, and I think we are going to see a lot more of these news in the future. Now, another one that is very important. About 2 weeks ago, sorry, again, allergies, not buggers. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how the EU is going to release money to Ukraine from the frozen Russian assets, and everyone was telling me, no, they cannot do this, it's against the law, they won't do this, and whatever. Okay, watch this little video.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen condemned what she called horrible atrocities by Moscow on Wednesday following a deadly overnight attack on the Kyiv region. She said Ukraine would soon receive 1.4 billion euros from proceeds generated by immobilized Russian assets to fund its war effort. The EU froze around 200 billion euros of Russia's international reserves shortly after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. While the assets remain untouched, the profits generated from them have been used to support Ukraine. Von der Leyen announced the latest funding after at least 17 people were killed in Russian ballistic missile and drone attacks on Kyiv. Russia has intensified its attacks on Ukraine in recent weeks, striking several civilian targets. 4 previous tranches of windfall profits from Russia's frozen assets have been transferred to Kyiv, the latest in March this year, with Wednesday's announcement bringing the total to 8 billion euros.
All right, more good news to our dear friend Vlad. Vlad, hi. Not going to send your little Russian bots into my chat again? Nah, better not. As I was saying, my friends, this is another video that proves that all of that bullshit that is spewed by for example, the GB News in the United Kingdom or in the United States, where I even listened to someone say Europe is taking all of that money. No, Europe is not taking all of that money. And my friends, remember this. This is just the interests. They are still discussing to give the money to Ukraine. But I understand what they are doing. They are using the interests to continue to finance Ukraine. Because if you don't know this, the United States is not giving anything to Ukraine. They are not giving them missiles. They are not giving them ammunitions. They are selling them ammunitions. And more than half of those ammunitions, you know who has been paying for them? The United Kingdom and the EU. And you in the United Kingdom, let me tell you this, you have a reason to be proud, because you have been contributing with a lot to Ukraine. Say what you say about the Tories, about Labour, say what you want to say about their stupid and idiotic policies. But the UK has always kept its word, and they have financed Ukraine. They have given money to Ukraine, they have given assets, they have cooperated like the rest of us in training Ukrainian soldiers, in sending them full equipped units, like Portugal, for example. Just I think it was last year, we sent 2 fully equipped campaign hospitals, meaning hospitals should be in the front line with all of it, with medicines, with everything, with machinery. We trained the doctors, all of it. Even a small country like Portugal is doing something. But you have to understand this. Each and every one of you in the United States, you are not giving jack shit to Europe. You are selling. And this is a very great difference. Those 100 Mexican firefighters that have just landed in Canada, they are not being paid. The Mexican state is paying their salaries, and they were sent to Canada to help the Canadian firefighters. The only thing the Canadian government does is to keep those people, okay, feed them, house them, give them medical care if it's needed. But these are people that are there to help. And you bet your ass that if in Europe we were not going through the same shit Canada is going through, we would also be the first to put people on the ground in Canada to help Canada. But unfortunately, we are dealing with the fires here too. Everywhere, especially right now, especially in Spain and in France. But this is the big difference. Whenever you need help, and I will tell this about the Canadians, if there is any Canadian in the chat, my friend, you are my friend. Whenever someone needs anything, Canada is the first one to send help. And right now, what help has the United States given Canada? Complain that the smoke is disturbing their vacations, their summer holidays. When a Canadian firefighter, a pilot, died in a Colorado fire just recently. When Canadians firefighters, emergency services, rescued 2 kids from a fire, 2 American kids. When they are the first ones to go to the United States to help you. Again, I'm talking about the government. If you did not vote for the orange lunatic, if you are a decent American person, I will call you my friend. But your state is a bloody twat. Or like the Australians like to say, I like that word, cunts. Viper Scott right here. Scotland still has that moorland fire going on right now. Look, Viper Scott, I don't know if the UK could help Canada. But given the historic and political ties, I think the United Kingdom should be the first one to extend their hands in help. This is just my opinion. What I will not forget is that a couple of years ago, when we had those serious fighters, the Canadians sent 2 helicopters, and they were dealing themselves with fires too. But they had them, they could send them, and they sent those helicopters to help us. I will never forget that. Because you see, Portugal is one of the countries in Europe that has been affected by the forest fires. And a lot of people have been dying here. Okay? Now, folks, let's continue. After this excellent news to Mr. Vlad, now I still have here a couple of news that we need to talk about the USA. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Mr. Abdul El Sayed, or let's be polite about it, Dr. Abdul El Sayed, because of the heartburn he's giving Trump. Okay, let's watch this video. This is interesting.
Abdul El Sayed has won Michigan's Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate, narrowly defeating establishment candidate Haley Stevens in a victory for the party's progressive wing in the battleground state. Stevens called El Sayed to concede on Wednesday, and she issued a statement saying she would back El Sayed's candidacy.
This country of ours, this America of ours, is more than a flag, it's more than a set of colors. If you're a patriot, then you better fight for an America that is America for all of her kids. That's what this is about, building a movement to take our democracy back, to serve the people who absolutely deserve the best of what America has to offer them.
El Sayed overcame tens of millions of dollars in outside spending supporting Stevens, including a record intervention by groups aligned with the influential pro-Israel lobby AIPAC. His win, however slim, represents a significant shift for the Democratic Party, as he campaigned on Medicare for all, halting military aid to Israel, and campaign finance reform. He had support from progressive leaders, including Senator Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who framed the race as a grassroots-focused movement and broader fight against the establishment. He now faces the more difficult challenge of uniting the party to defeat Republican candidate Mike Rogers in November, for a seat considered essential to Democratic hopes of regaining the Senate, where the party must defend Michigan while gaining 4 Republican-held seats.
Now, folks, let me be clear about this, okay? I just put in this video because can you imagine the talk in the White House? Can you imagine a very angry Trump talking like Viper Scott is saying here about the communist Muslims, which must be a very odd saying. But look, my friend, this is hilarious. A Muslim and a Democrat. First of all, person impersonator, thank you for coming. Okay, bye. Sir Fades, are you still here, or have you gone? Okay, let's go. This was the reason why I put up this video, because the reactions have been priceless. Okay, I have been laughing my ass off listening to the communist Muslims and all of this this lunacy. Okay, it has been absolutely hilarious. Now, folks, I have 2 more videos to show you, okay? And then I'm just going to have a quick word and we'll end the stream. But now let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. First of all, I have Hello, server. Okay, nice. First of all, I will have to say this. Once again, Mr. Trump says the deal to open the Strait of Hormuz could come by Wednesday or Iran will be hit very hard. Yes. Let's watch the video.
U.S. President Donald Trump said that a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz could come as soon as Wednesday, but warned Iran that it would get hit very hard if the talks fell through. Transit of the waterway, a key maritime corridor for global oil and gas shipping, has been a sticking point in the talks and led to renewed fighting despite a ceasefire agreed in April. Iran has tightened its grip on Hormuz and wants to take control of the strait and charge tolls, powers it did not exercise before the war began on 28 February. Trump, speaking to reporters in California, said that negotiators had a, quote, very good day, a change in tone from earlier threats he had directed at the Islamic Republic.
The strait's going to be open very soon, or they're going to get hit very hard, and then the strait's going to be open. And we were going to a tremendous attack, the biggest since World War II. And they called me and said, very politely, please, can we talk? Can we talk? They didn't want. And I said, yes, we can talk. Let's get it done. Finally, let's get it done.
Iran has meanwhile doubled down on its claims that no talks are ongoing with the U.S., even as Trump insisted they were happening. Qatar, which has been mediating the talks between Iran and Oman, said there were no direct talks between Washington and Tehran, but acknowledged that diplomatic efforts are underway.
On the ground that are
U.S. media reporting on the potential deal said it would include a 60-day safe passage arrangement in the strait between Iran and Oman.
Okay, folks, I have to tell you. Yes, Alistair, that one is excellent. That one is excellent. Trump really waving his micro one again. Iran had not talked to them, as far as I know. Yes, of course they did not. Iran has been in negotiations with Oman, and while Mr. Trump is talking about all of this shit, I don't even know how to qualify this. Okay, the big boys are talking. I know, for example, that France and Spain also, and Portugal with Spain, they have been talking with Iran and with the Gulf states to negotiate a way out of this shit. Okay, Europe is more or less telling Iran, look, we can serve in this side of the world as a guarantee so that we won't have any issues here. And Iran is listening to. And look, my friends, let me be absolutely clear about this. Iran is not a nice place. The Iranian government are a bunch of lunatics. Okay? Let's not beat around the bush. But they want to settle things. They want to have a solution for this shit. They want their country to go back to normal, and so that they can take care of their own internal businesses and all of that. Okay? Let's be clear about it. And also, Iran was staying in its bloody corner until Israel, that wants to occupy more land, convinced the dumb Americans to go into war with Iran. And going to war with Iran without having the money or even the bloody ammunitions. I have watched enough westerns to know that you don't go into a shootout without bullets. They were able to run out of the bloody missiles, the long-range missiles. They don't have them. They even tried, remember, they tried to remove the tomahawks from Poland, and Poland told him to fuck off. These ones, we already paid for them. But they were able to take them out from South Korea. So let us hope that the lunatic in the north, the Kim some shit, he doesn't decide it's a good idea to invade South Korea. Let us hope. But the issue here is Iran was in their corner. And I told this before, I know of people that went to Iran, that went to visit the Persian ruins and the historic cities, and they had zero problems. Of course, they are much stricter. When their medieval police passes on, women have to cover their head and all of that crap. But it was not offensive. As soon as they told me this, as soon as they entered in the restaurant and they had the guide, a person that was with them all the time, as soon as they entered in the restaurant and started to eat and all things, it was like they were not living in any dictatorship. Okay, they would talk with men and women alike, and children would play. Everything was normal. This is the truth. Iran is a country like any others, okay? But they are under an authoritarian regime. That does not make them saints, but that doesn't make them devils either. And the fact is, Iran was in their corner of the world, and the oil was flowing. And then that orange buffoon did this shit. And then you have that keg set filled with hormones and cocaine and whatever the hell he's doing. I really don't understand. Okay. Talking about, we are going to crush him. Yes, me big man. Hexet is the kind of guy that I would only need this finger to put him squirming like a little shit in the ground. And I'm not a violent person. But I would stick this finger up his balls and I would watch him scream in the ground. And they don't understand that to a normal person, the only thing they look like when they talk this shit is weak and pathetic. And like Surface is saying here, yes, that is something that also worries me. North Korean army getting experience in Ukraine. Bad juju. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And like Billy Kershaw also is saying here, they engineered a rising to silence protesters. Exactly. They completely destroyed the movement that was growing and that would eventually topple the government, because the government is economically sunk. The Ayatollahs, they are corrupted. It's not just the sanctions, okay? The Ayatollah government is corrupted. There are a lot of people that have been getting rich off the state because it's an authoritarian regime. What would you expect? Now, folks, just another video right now before I go into my conclusion, and I'm going to talk about some things just quickly, not going to. This stream has gone long enough, but now this is the answer of the big boys in the room, and this is the real situation of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, let's watch.
Iran and Oman have agreed on a proposed shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz, Tehran's foreign ministry announced on Wednesday. Tehran said the agreement includes technical, legal, security, and environmental points. Official sources told Iranian media that the final touches were being added to the deal and that any reopening of the strait would depend on the United States ending its naval blockade of Iran's ports. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly insisted Tehran is keen to do a deal to reopen the routes to shipping, but Iran denies this and says the U.S. is not involved in the negotiations with Oman. Iran also said that even if an understanding was reached, it would not mean that the strait had become safe for all passing vessels.
And this is the situation, folks. This, if you are an American and you are watching me from the United States and you think that your Fox News or your president is telling you the truth, my friends, this is the situation in the ground right now. The situation in the ground is this. The American army has been evacuating a lot of bases because they are being pummeled by Iranian strikes, and they cannot defend their own soldiers. The American soldiers that are in navy vessels, they are suffering from the lack of supplies because old Keck said instead of making a real plan before going into this display of power, he just said just like his godfather, Orange Godfather said, just say, go on, the ships go on. And then the ships arrive and they only have supplies for a limited time. So soldiers, American soldiers, are eating shit. They are eating bad and poor food because they cannot even source it locally. Because these things have to be planned. But planning is something that just doesn't enter into the vocabulary of these people. And what is happening right now is that the EU, Japan, the West, let's call it like this, and all of the other countries, they are talking directly with Iran and with Oman and trying to find a way of dealing with this. And all they want is to pass their own ships. They don't give a crap about the American ships. Think about this. Because Iran does not want to negotiate, at least now, with either United States or Israel. So what they are focusing on is this. It's, for example, they don't want the toll. I heard that Europe has told them no. But they are willing to negotiate a settlement payment so that, for example, Europe will either invest, and look, take all of this with a grain of salt, with a bag of salt, okay? But I heard future investment is being negotiated between Europe and China, brokered by China because they are allies of the Iranians, okay? Let's put things out in the open. Because of the new Silk Road and all of that, all right? And all of these things are being discussed. So either way, Iran will have to get some kind of compensation. And given the fact that they've been pummeling into dust, they need to be compensated. The issue here is then, if, imagine this, imagine that this peace negotiating is brokered and that all is good, all right? I'm going through my final conclusions, okay, folks? But imagine this. Do you really think the countries that are now brokering this peace deal will not present a bill to the United States? And you want to know what? The United States is going to pay. And I will tell you why. I will tell you why. The United States is going to pay because they have to. Okay? You were stewardess. Interesting. I was in the Lincoln's first cruise operational deployment that was in 1991. Category 3 spat water when it shot aircraft back then. I bet it still does. Probably. They were fixing the warships and the battleships. They were fixing them in South Korea because they don't even have the capability of doing it in the United States. That tells a lot. That tells a lot about the interconnections of the American military complex. They were fixing them right here in Portugal too, in one of our harbors that is called Leixões, up north. They were fixing their ships here too. Interesting, isn't it? But this was 3 or 4 years ago. Right now, I don't know what is the situation. But folks, if there is an agreement reached here, the United States is going to pay. Israel is going to whistle and bribe some more politicians in order to keep their status quo. But when when all of this ends, I predict that the United States will only have probably one or two allies in the region that have direct interests in it. Israel and one of the perhaps Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is Sunni and the Iranians are Shiite. So it's a bit like one being Catholic. Imagine the Iranians are Catholics, and the Saudi Arabians are Protestants. Okay, more or vice versa. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? It's different ways of approaching Islam. The Shiites are martyrs. Okay, another good idea: attack people that attack religious fanatics that believe that dying in the defense of the faith against the American demons is an instant card to go to heaven. What a great idea, Mr. Trump. Yes, that's a great idea, an excellent idea. Now, but if they are calling Abdullah al-Sayed and Mandami communists, I don't think they really understand Islam. Now, folks, but let's not get into it. Folks, I hope that you liked this stream. I know it was a bit longer. Sorry for that buffering that occurred. I still cannot understand how it happened. I have a perfect connection. My computer is also a nice one. Not a great one, but a nice one. I was only using 27% of my CPU. Okay, so I really don't know why it happened. But, folks, thank you very much for coming here, for listening to me, for giving me your opinions. Kamri, if you are still in the chat, my friend, please continue to talk. Continue to give me your opinion. And when I make the video about public procurement here in Portugal, I would like you to give me your opinion on it. Okay? Either in the stream, if I make a stream, or by commenting on the video. And you know I'm not monetized, okay? I want to know your opinion. Okay? Viper Scott, I think it was YouTube. Perhaps this is Viper Scott. This is a rather Marcus stream. Okay, folks, I would like you all to thank you. I would like to thank you for being here, even anyone that has been here and that just lurked. And I hope to catch you all in the next one. Thank you, Viper Scott, Surfades, Billy Kershaw, and Camry. You are the ones that appeared here in the chat. Which she also appeared here. Person Impersonator also. Folks, thank you very much for coming, and I hope to catch you all in the next